narratives now. Stories are for kids, right? Narratives are for college level people. So there's two narratives in a kind of half-baked allegory. By the way, where's my Dante? He cried out for his Dante. It's back there somewhere. It looks like, there it is, thank you, sir. George, yes. George is running the other side of the campus over there for the science. Okay, the first one, these have titles too. First one's called The Wheelbarrow. Jim Wesnowski, this is why we had that talk earlier, and also Jeffrey, about concrete and cement. The summer before I taught my first class, I was working as a day laborer, as they call them in those days, in the construction business. This was around 1958. We were pouring concrete, and my task was to push a wheelbarrow. Now this is a deep-bellied wheelbarrow, even deeper than the one that Jim's using working on the driveway now. Not these little garden things, deep-bellied. I don't know how many cubic yards of concrete it held. Your father would know. Mark's Offinger's father and my father worked together, and Ms. Mark's part of the building business to keep track of how many, all that stuff that, where's the hose right? All that stuff that he was worried about that you can measure. And so I would think of the OSHA regulations now. What we had to do is take this wheelbarrow up a catwalk, up these scaffold planks, up to the second story. Now those are tough pieces of wood. All the professional wood people around here, oak, but there was always a little spatter on it from the predecessors, and so it was a little uneven always as you'd come wobbling up there, up onto the second story there, and move it along, and then down below here were rebars, reinforcing rods, sticking up like that, and the job was to pour the cement onto them without falling in. And so that's what I was doing. Now, because these planks were a little bit wobbling, the cement began to, it's concrete then, right? We decided it was concrete. Yeah, it was beginning to wobble. Cement was in there, right, with the water, and the water was making it wobble. And as you know, if you physicist people, there's an equation for this about stability and metacentric height and riding moments and that stuff. I learned that later in the Coast Guard, but that was happening. It was starting to accelerate back and forth. Those of you who carried ice trays from the refrigerator without the little dividers in there, same thing, right? And it ends up a little bit of it. So it's getting going more and more like that. And I'm getting close to the edge. And I look down there and all those rebars sticking up. And the foreman, my immediate boss, the laborer foreman, looks up at me and I think, holy crap. You know, so he said to me, he was a Jamaican. Now, he did not speak like Sidney Poitier. He spoke like a real Jamaicans do, island people do, like, you know, that patois. So he's hollering up at me, and I've known this kid a long time, since I was a kid, and he's hollering, "Put it down! Put it down!" And I went, just set it down. Don't fight it, just set it down. Which I did. And we continued doing that for 8 hours, the next 3 days in the sun, without further drama. Second story here feeds on that one. It's called The Onion Skin. At Stores That Fall, the English department equipped us for our first day with a class list typed on onion skin. This is a type of paper that I've never seen since. I looked it up on Wiki just to prove that I can do a little bit of that. Incidentally, I was waiting for Jim to tell the story, Jim Holsworth, about, where are you, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to back me up on this now, right? You know where I'm going with this, right? When Jim first came here, he was being a science and measuring guy. He was told to see the go-to guy for computers on campus was this Stephen Jones you've been hearing about. Now, some of you might find that hard to believe, but he's testifying that it's true, right? That tells you the state of art at this campus, that I was the go-to guy for computers. James L. Baird made that decision, and he was a gadget-happy guy too, so he should have known better.
And I was right.
Okay, so where were we? We were onion skin, yes. Okay, I was showing you why I can manipulate these things enough with the help of my wife and my son. So I was able to get on the wiki, and I looked up onion skin, and I found out that it was developed in 1914. It shows you the state of art at 1958 at Yukon and stores. Because this is their idea of ultimate, office mojo, would be onion skin. And it also tells you on a wiki that it's not used anymore, except in toy kites, and that icon of all disorderly classrooms, the paper glider. For Miss Beasley in the 4th grade. Paper gliders. So there I'm standing in front of these people, about 25 of them there, 5 years younger, and boys and girls mixed together and all this stuff. My God, and I've got this onion skin, and on it, of course, is all their names, and they know that that's what I'm on. Everyone, he said, hey, it's right on there. And I'm holding this thing like that, and all I could think was that line by Gerard Manley Hopkins, and the grandeur of God will flame out like shook foil. And the thing is shook foiling all over the place on me. And then I remembered this voice. Hold it like this. Just set it down. I'm looking, there's a lectern there, about 12 feet away, it seemed, straight down. And I put it down there, and then I heard this voice saying, vaguely familiar voice saying, Anderson, Bartlett, Burroughs, Porojnik, Chakotnik. Oh, thank you, Here I am, all these years later. But it was one of those moments, it was like falling on the rebars. If I hadn't heard that voice, I would still be up there with that. God bless Donald Phillips, who was the fellow who told me, just set it down. Okay, the last story, this is sort of an allegory, since we are at a university. It's not a complete allegory, Virginia. It's missing levels. Yes, okay. Virginia and I, you should know, Virginia Birdsall is sitting down here. I think we're the only people that were here at the very first day, right? Yeah, we decided that. And thank you so much for, yes, of course. Yes. Right. There you are, behind that Kay Chaney right over there. Kim came in a little later, yeah. Okay, so great for you people to come out of the past here. Okay, this is Dante here. See, I was teaching a course called it was Classic and Medieval Literature. Now, who would take a course like that? There's one of my best students. She's smart, yeah. See, I never took that course in college either, because with a title like that, I always thought it was Homer to Dante. That seemed more, Homer to Dante. This is Dante right here. So I'm at the end of the semester, first season teaching here. And it's one of those courses that historians can appreciate, where you got to get from here to there. And you're towards the end, you're starting to run faster and faster, right? Same historian guy down there. Like, you got to get to the end. And Dante is down in the Inferno, of course, with his friend and guider, the Virgil, and they're trying to get through the whole thing and get to the end. It's not a pleasant place, right, the Inferno. And they're trying to get out, and they're coming up the devil's body. Now, there's various interpretations of exactly whether they're internal or external on it, but it's really a miserable place to be. And they're trying to crawl out of the devil. And I've got them almost up there, and it's about 8 minutes to go at the end of the semester. 25 students out there trying to get out of the devil's body, into wherever you get when you get out of the devil. That's got to read the last line, right? So, all of a sudden, there's this great boom, like that. And I turned around, and the chalk had flown off the rack there onto the floor. And then, boom, again, another one of those. And the eraser flew off. And this kept happening, and the students are sitting there like that. And I'm thinking, that sounds exactly like a guy with a sledgehammer on the other side of the wall, knocking the wall down. But I'm an English teacher, so that might be a metaphor. It could literally be happening that way, right? So this kept going on, and pretty soon the whole blackboard tray was emptied of all its tools, one of which you saw here a minute ago. That's a new thing now for the new grease boards. And I thought, my God, I can't leave the classroom, because I learned as a teacher before that, you must never abandon the classroom. Always send a student. George, go and find out what's going to happen. And I couldn't figure out what on earth to tell this student. And they're all sitting there like that. They could hardly get out of their seat, let alone go find out if there was a literal man literally knocking the wall down. So I said, I've got to do this. Got about 3 minutes, right? So I go out, go around back. Right up there. That building's still standing for some reason. And I look in the door, and there in this beautiful scintillating nimbus of construction dust is a man standing there with a sledgehammer, knocking the wall down. And I felt somewhat sympathetic because I'd had a job like that, inside a boiler with a couple of guys knocking the wall down, things like that. I thought that's kind of a neat thing to be able to do. But then I thought, probably he should not keep doing this for a little while. So I didn't know what to do. So I kept going down the hall, and I finally came to a place where there's a window. And I went through, and a friend of mine, Jim Perneski, remember him? He was teaching math, and he was up at the blackboard, and he was working out something. It seemed to me in solitude, because there was no conversation going on. He was just quietly up there. And I could see that in the first 5 or 6 rows, there was nobody there. So he was just working out, as math teachers will do, do their thing, And so I went over to the window, and I looked down, and on the road over there was our first director. Now, he was a very energetic, young, modern kind of guy. He was supposedly sort of a model for Jack Kennedy or something like that. And he was going along very rapidly. So I hollered down the window, through the window at him, and I said, "Hey, they're tearing the wall down behind me." And he goes, "Yeah, hang in there, I think he thought because I was an English teacher, speaking in metaphors, it was sort of like Red Barber. Some of you maybe remember him. They'd say, "Well, they're tearing up the pea patch here at Ebbets Field." He keeps going. And then I turn around, and oh my God, there's about 12 people in the class, students. I just walked between them and the teacher. And they're all in the back, like lobsters in the tank over at Noank. How they all pile up on the end of the tank like that. Their last day there, and they're still cowering in the back. And I thought it's like that quiet. So I turned to so I went back, and I saw the guy. I said, "I'm going to have to do this." So I didn't want to go in the room because of all this dust that was hanging there, And I said to the fellow, I tried to signal to him, that he should stop. "Give me a couple of minutes, please." On the other side, come out, have a cigarette or whatever you're going to do. Wasn't killing himself fast enough with that silly